Hi everybody and welcome to Kat's Tiny Kitchen. I'm glad to have you here today. We are going to make a dessert today, and this is a really good one. I'm making it early, so some of my produce didn't come from a garden, it came from the store. I wanted to get this made for some of my friends down south who are already getting their stuff off of their gardens. And hopefully they can see this and use it and share it with their family. So today we're going to make a fake apple pie. And the main ingredient of fake apple pie is zucchini. Zucchini is a very versatile vegetable. It's not got a lot of flavor, but it absorbs whatever you put in a dish with it. So it makes it very good for this recipe. So let's cover the ingredients and we'll get into making this pie. So our first ingredient we got here is 8 cups of zucchini that's been peeled, seeded, and cut into slices, sort of like apples. The next ingredient for that is going to be 3/4 or 2/3 of a cup of lemon juice, and then we have 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Let me reach over here, and then we've got 3/4 of a cup of packed brown sugar. Now I'm using dark brown sugar because that's what I had, but if you have light brown sugar, go ahead and use it. And then the last 2 ingredients, these ingredients I'm covering right now are for the filling. I have a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, put that over there, and then I have 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And that's actually all of the ingredients for the filling. The second part we're going to show you here on the ingredient list is going to be the crust for the pie. So we're starting out with 4 cups of flour. Then I've got 2 cups of sugar. We have 3 sticks of butter. And if you don't have butter sticks, you can also use tablespoons. That's 24 tablespoons of butter if you don't have the sticks. And then our final ingredient for the crust is a teaspoon of cinnamon. Now that we've got the ingredients covered, let's go ahead and get this recipe started. I'll be back in a minute. For the first part of the recipe, we're going to start out with our filling. So I'm going to grab my 8 cups of zucchini, pour that in my pan, and the lemon juice. And we're going to get this cooking on a medium heat, medium-high heat, and then we're going to get the zucchini in here tender. Sorry about that, I had to go get something to stir it with. We want to break the zucchini down a little bit and get it cooked a little bit before we add the other ingredients into the dish. So it's going to take us a minute. So while we're waiting, I'll throw some music in here and you can watch it cook. Now that we've got our zucchini pretty tender, I'm going to add the remaining ingredients. So I'm going to add the 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, and I'm going to add the 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar and the nutmeg and cinnamon. And we're going to get that stirred in really good and let it cook for a few more minutes. I want to get that sugar dissolved quite a bit. Like I said, this is a really good recipe. You can't even, once once it's done, you can't even tell that this is zucchini. Most people think it is really like an apple crisp. It looks more like an apple crisp, but it is called fake apple pie. So we're gonna let this come up to heat again. It looks like we've got our sugar's pretty dissolved, but we want to cook this a little bit longer. Make sure that that zucchini absorbs all of that sugar flavor and the lemon flavor. And once that's done, we will go ahead and we'll start our crust. And that's a little bit of a process, but it's fun. You're really gonna like it. Now that we've got this going, I'm going to remove it from the heat. I think my sugar is good and dissolved. Yes, it is. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this from the heat and let it set and cool off, because you need it a little cooler when you put it in the filling. So I'll be back in a minute and we'll start assembling the crust. We're going to go ahead and get our crust going. So we're going to start with our 4 cups of flour. Add that in there. We got our 2 cups of sugar. Stir that up with my pastry blender, get it mixed up a little bit. Alright, that's pretty good. So we're going to add our butter. You want to cut this in like you would be making biscuits or a pie crust. It's a lot of butter, so this will be in a 9x13 pan, and it will not be greased because it will not need to be greased. And this is all not going to be the crust. You'll see here in a little bit what we do with this. It's going to get divided up. Get out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to start cutting this in just like I would with a pie crust or biscuits. If you're making biscuits, you got to cut your lard or your butter in. And you want to get it cut in so that it's pearl size. And yes, it's kind of frustrating with this. I need a different pastry cutter, but this is what I'm used to. You can use a fork. If you don't have a pastry cutter, go ahead and use a fork. It'll do the same thing. You don't want to get it mixed in so that it's like a gloppy mess. You just want to make sure that the butter gets mixed in and it's like pea size. And just keep working at it. Sometimes I'm not patient enough, but today I better be. I used to not tell people what this was and have them eat it, and then I told them what it was, but you know, with this world that we're living now, you don't know if somebody's allergic to something. So I have to tell everybody beforehand what this is. Oh yes, it's messy. I'm messy. I already got flour all over the front of me earlier when I was getting this all prepped and ready for you guys. I don't sometimes do things neat, but as long as it tastes good, who cares? This does take a little while. Get her all cut in. I haven't been brave enough to try my KitchenAid to do this yet. I'm sure that it will do it, but I'm just checking. such a thing as overworking, and you don't want to overwork, so. And we're slowly getting there. I'll throw some music in here for you because this is going to take a little bit longer than I would like. Okay, so we've got everything pretty much about the pea size, which is what we want. And I'm going to mix this up a little bit more with my hands. Just make sure not too big a chunk, so get them broke up. So what we're going to do here is get this flattened out. And I'm going to portion this out into 4. So I'm going to cut with my fingers through there, and I'm going to cut again, and I'm going to take 1/4 of this and I'm going to add it to my zucchini, and I can't show you that because I don't have enough cameras for that. So I'm going to take about 1/4 of that, put it in my mixture. And I'll move this out of the way, move the bowl over, and you can see what I'm doing. Put that in there, and I'm going to stir this in. This is like a thickener for the zucchini. Get that stirred in really good. I'm going to set that back aside. And then I'm going to take half of this mixture. I'm going to put it in my pan, an ungreased pan. And what I'm going to do then, spread that out. I'm going to press it in with that butter. Yeah, that's about enough. So I'm going to press this down into the pan to make our base crust. That's pretty level. So with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this in the oven. Let me wash my hands here a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven for about 10 minutes until it's golden brown. Get the timer set.
Relax. Exhale. I'm trying, sir. You try harder and don't go in circles.
Okay, I got my timer set. So now the remaining mixture is for the top of the pie. It's going to be the crumble for the top of the pie. So I'm going to add my teaspoon of cinnamon to this, and I'm going to get something to mix it in with. So I'll mix that cinnamon in here. Looks like I may have to. And this is our topping for when We get ready to bake it. It's looking pretty good. Get in here again. I see a couple of big chunks. So that's the prep part of it. It's time to pull the crust out of the oven and start putting our fake apple pie together. So you want it to get a slight golden brown around the edges. You don't want it to burn. So we got that done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add our filling to the crust. I'm going to start scooping a little bit before I dump, because this is kind of heavy and I don't want to drop it. So we're just going to put that out there. Get a few healthy scoops on here. Pan a little bit lighter. And now I'm going to dump. And you can hear it sizzling. And get the rest of this. We don't want to lose any of that goodness. Alright, so let's just push this around. Get it all evenly distributed on the crust. And now we're going to go ahead and top it with the remaining crust mixture that we added the cinnamon to. This smells really good. I can't wait to have a bite. It looked a little watery, but I think it'll thicken up with this additional crust on top. And get it over the top. Spread that out. And there we go. So I'm going to throw this in the oven again. It's about 30 to 35, maybe 40 minutes. My oven's not it's very persnickety, so I don't really know for sure what the temperature is going to be. We're going to put this in, let it bake for about 30, 35, 40 minutes, and I'll be able to show you again what it looks like after it's done, and we will be good to go to try and eat it and take a picture. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're going to pull her out of the oven. She's ready. Ooh, this is nice and bubbly, and there you go, everybody. It's a nice, pretty fake apple pie, and I can't wait for it to cool so I can try some of it. I'm so glad you came along with me today. I hope you find this recipe is a good one for you and your family. And I thank y'all for coming. Now all that's left to do is take a picture and taste it.